Contents of this issue of the Bulletin are divided into the following main section headings. 1. Bulletin Contents. 2. Intro. 3. President's Page by Paul Mimms. 4. Legislative Update by Donald D. Overton Jr. 5. Executive Director's Message by Donald D. Overton Jr. 6. Deliberating. Celebrating in bold new city of the South. 7. BVA Sponsors. Offer needed support. 8. Life-changing technology for veterans and guide dogs. 9. Headquarters. Adds new staff members. Board appoints Interim District 1 Director. 10. Around BVA. 11. Auxiliaries View by Debbie Frick. 12. Veteran Service Program Update by Duayne Driscoll. 13. Impressions from Behind the Scenes by Meredith Buono de Grossa. 14. Of Note. 15. In Remembrance. 16. Final Thought. Welcome to the audio version of the Summer 2024 BVA Bulletin, Volume 79, Number 3. Paul Mimms of Kansas City, Missouri, is the National President of the Blinded Veterans Association. Wade Davis of LaPorte, Texas, is the organization's National Vice President. The National Secretary is Tracy Farrow of Biloxi, Mississippi, and Joseph Bogart of Meridian, Idaho, is the National Treasurer. Serving as District Directors are the following: Claudia Baldwin of Rockville, Maryland, representing District 1, Joseph Link of Norman, Oklahoma, Director of District 2, Douglas Ingram of Tallahassee, Florida, Director of District 3, and Randy Cantrell of Spokane, Washington, representing the veterans of District 4. The immediate past National President is Joseph D. McNeil, Sr. of Columbus, Georgia. Additional appointed officers are National Sergeant-at-Arms Brian O'Connell of Greenville, South Carolina, National Ombudsman Tenora Lynn Shannon of St. Clair Shores, Michigan, and National Judge Advocate Stephen Butler of Temple, Texas. The National Chaplain position is currently vacant. President's Page by Paul Mimms. 2 photos accompany this section. The first, a thumbnail image of Paul without a caption. Caption for second photo. At joint BVA-ACB historic opening ceremony, Paul Mimms welcomes attendees from both organizations to the convention. The section begins. Now that we have brought closure to the 79th Annual Convention of the Blinded Veterans Association, several positive memories will long remain with me. Overall, it was a great convention. Of course, we were able to carry out the business of the convention, and I am happy to report that all of the proposed bylaw amendments were passed. I am happy to declare also that both the discussion and the voting on the bylaws were done with respect by all members and toward all members. We also passed a resolution that stands to address something that is especially important to all of us as it pertains to VA healthcare. The resolution relates to a key component of veteran suicide prevention. As veterans with sight loss, we deal with that added trauma. Loss of sight cannot be diminished, downgraded, or belittled as a key factor in the depression that many of us have experienced, are now experiencing, or will still experience in the future. It is important that the Department of Veterans Affairs have adequate mental health care providers to meet the demand for care that addresses depression and other psychological factors accompanying blindness. The resolution encourages VA to consider physician assistants, PAs, for hiring in some of the vacant positions in healthcare, therefore bringing up to par the number of staff available to provide this valuable healthcare to veterans who need it. Once again, thank you to all who voted for passage of this resolution and considered its importance to veterans who have already lost their sight or who will face sight loss in the future. Our efforts at the convention were directed to many other prominent issues, not just business. Straying slightly from our usual format, Monday night featured a BVA gala. This was a combination of what has traditionally been the President's reception to open the conventions and the awards banquet to close them. We duly recognized several of our generous sponsors at the gala. Following the full-course dinner, many enthusiastically descended on an open space on the floor designated for dancing, initiating a new tradition. To the Father Carroll luncheon event name, we added the words, "and awards ceremony," to present the well-deserved recognitions that included the gold and silver gavels to achieving regional groups and the traditional individual awards. I single out here the Distant Darling Award presented this year to Brenda McDaniel. Acting as the travel agent for BVA for several years, Brenda's efforts have assisted BVA and its members with travel arrangements to our conventions wherever they have occurred. She has also arranged other travel for board members and staff. Having been able to get to know her personally, I can honestly say that she loves her work, greatly appreciates us veterans, and helps us with her heart first and above all else. She is a very deserving recipient of that award. Since Brenda was not able to attend the convention in person, we recognize her again here, offering sincere congratulations. The convention recap of this issue recognizes other honorees. Suffice to say that each deserves our congratulations for going beyond the call of duty in some way. Each has contributed to the cause of our mission and our traditional motto, blinded veterans helping blinded veterans. One of the events on the agenda during the convention was Tuesday morning's open forum with both the board of directors and the program chairs that comprised Team BVA. The programs represented included women veterans, dog handlers, and adaptive sports and recreation. The discussion centered on the purpose of the programs and the function of the program chairs. The monthly meeting of each group program came up as a topic of discussion. The member interaction with the board of directors was rewarding to me. It was an opportunity to narrow existing communication gaps and increase levels of trust. One of my goals as national president has been just that, and this activity seems to have paid great dividends toward that end. I look forward to offering other opportunities in the near future that will replicate it. It was also gratifying to be part of the 50th anniversary celebration of the Florida Regional Group. This final event of the convention included remarks by current regional group president Carlos Perez. Appetizers, unlimited cupcake pull-aparts, courtesy of the regional group, and an opportunity to hit the dance floor for the second night in a row. The party proved to be a time to simply socialize and have fun in a relaxed atmosphere. As we move forward toward the 80th National Convention in 2025, we are developing plans for a really momentous event. There are numerous factors to consider in doing so. We are excited and cautiously approaching the anticipated date. We will keep you posted throughout the coming year so that all who desire to attend can certainly do so. It will be a monumental convention celebrating 80 years of service with a look ahead to 80 more. Legislative Update by Donald D. Overton Jr. A photo accompanies this section, a thumbnail image of Don without a caption. The section begins, Federal Charters, What They Mean. BVA is one of a handful, roughly 100, of organizations that have been granted a federal or congressional charter. This concept is somewhat puzzling to the public and sometimes even mystifies government officials. The subject came up during a recent BVA town hall, which served as a motivation for me to compile a few clarifications to common misconceptions about congressional charters. Who came up with the idea of a federal charter? The federal charter as it exists in the United States appears to be a direct descendant of the so-called European Royal Charter. The earliest known charters date back to the medieval period, i.e., 800 AD of 1400 AD, and were used by monarchs to create towns and important institutions, such as colleges and universities. Royal charters gained special popularity in Great Britain and Scotland. In those countries, the medieval uses of the charter were somewhat expanded. Some charters were granted simply for the creation of necessary institutions, such as the British East India Company. However, some were granted to honor existing institutions and to acknowledge their preeminence, stability, and permanence. The varied uses of the Royal Charter made their way into the practices of the earliest American colonies. One of the first charters issued on our shores dates back to 1639 and was promulgated by an act of the Great and General Court of the Massachusetts Bay Colony. That charter created Harvard College, now Harvard University. What is the purpose of the federal or congressional charter as we know it? The practice of chartering. By Congress. Patriotic, charitable, and other organizations of civic value, was most prominent in the middle third of the last century. Typically, the chartered organizations originally existed as state corporations, or unincorporated associations, and subsequently sought the congressional recognition. This was the case, for example, with BVA. Founded about a dozen years before the granting of its federal charter in 1958, the organization had been incorporated in New York. That incorporation was superseded by the congressional enactment which was signed into law by President Dwight D. Eisenhower on August 27, 1958. It has been amended once over the years, but in essence remains very much as originally enacted. There is no one purpose for a congressional charter. Given the early recipients of the charters, major veterans organizations, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Little League Baseball, it is clear that Congress intended to preserve the status for important and unique entities. Indeed, in 1965, President Lyndon Johnson vetoed a bill to grant a charter to a civic affairs group and complained that federal charters should be granted, if at all, only on a selective basis, and they should meet some national interest standard. Unfortunately, by this time, the significance of a charter had been somewhat diluted. Organizations were seeking charters in part because of the congressional approval that they seemed to connote. Such approval could often be translated even indirectly into a financial benefit. 5 years later, the House and Senate agreed to a joint statement of policy under which federal charters were to be reserved to entities organized and operated for the primary purpose of conducting activities which are of national scope and responsive to a national need. The result of this has been a dramatic decline in the number of newly issued charters. How and why would a charter ever be amended? It is difficult to amend a federal charter. It requires, literally, an act of Congress. Typically, an amendment is made so that the charter more accurately reflects the character of the organization. Does the charter have anything to do with BVA membership? Most assuredly, it does. In addition to providing the general qualifications for membership in the association, the federal charter defines the basic structure of BVA and specifies that BVA may have honorary members. Does the federal charter confer any other specific legal benefits? In some states, BVA's possession of the federal charter provides an exemption from registration and reporting requirements that would otherwise apply to its fundraising activities. It is important to note that such exemptions would not apply to BVA regional groups and chapters, since it is only the parent organization that possesses a federal charter. The federal charter also grants to BVA what is known as a statutory trademark on the name Blinded Veterans Association. BVA has also registered that and other marks with the United States Patent and Trademark Office. The charter goes on to specify that BVA may create regional groups and chapters that will bear the same name. Does the federal charter make BVA a part of the government? BVA remains a private, tax-exempt, charitable organization. Although there have been occasional efforts by litigants to describe, inaccurately, BVA as an agent of the federal government, all of those efforts have failed. BVA does not receive federal appropriations, exercises no federal powers, and does not have special status for access to the federal courts. In fact, BVA often litigates against the federal government, which is a sure sign that the association is private. Does the federal charter put BVA under the supervision of Congress? The chartering statute requires BVA to submit an annual report to Congress, which it has faithfully done for decades. The report, which actually takes the form of the proceedings of the National Convention and multiple associated documents, is actually printed as a congressional document. In addition, BVA is always responsive to congressional inquiries and requests. Nevertheless, Congress does not oversee BVA operations or management, and is not empowered to make any decisions on behalf of the association. What, exactly, does the BVA Charter say? The BVA Charter is incorporated as an appendix in the national bylaws and can be accessed as a Word document on the BVA website. Executive Director's Message by Donald D. Overton Jr. 2 photos accompany this section. A thumbnail image of Don without a caption. Caption for second photo. Don Overton, far left, responds to BVA member question during July 8th convention opening business meeting. The section begins. Bylaws, what they are, why they matter, and what they include. When an individual or group incorporates an association such as BVA, they are establishing a new company with shareholders, members, directors, and officers. It is mandatory to put bylaws in place to clarify roles and create an internal structure to guide the business. So, what exactly are bylaws, why do we need them, and what should they include? Bylaws defined. The national bylaws of our association are the internal rules that govern how BVA operates. They are set out in a formal written document adopted by our membership at convention assembled and summarize important procedures related to decision-making and voting. This helps ensure that even as officers and directors come and go from the association, there is a consistent process and agreed-upon procedures. Bylaws relate to decisions at a board level and are different from the guidelines in employee handbooks that apply to day-to-day business. Purpose of bylaws. Our association is a legal entity, chartered by the U.S. Congress, that is distinct from its officers, directors, members, and staff. The purpose of bylaws is to establish an internal decision-making structure and clarify the relationships between key stakeholders within BVA. These parties include members who guide the association, directors responsible for the overall direction of the subordinate regional groups, officers who implement policy, staff who run the day-to-day business. The creation of bylaws accomplishes the following: ensures that everyone understands and operates under the same rules, provides transparency in how the association operates, resolves disputes, both internally and in a court of law. Legal requirements for bylaws. Our association was created at the federal level when we were granted a congressional charter, Public Law 85-769, Auxiliary 27, 1958, H.R. 135-18. That charter establishes a legal requirement for BVA to have bylaws. Creation of the bylaws. BVA's original bylaws were created by the founders of our association, ensuring compliance with the mandates of the congressional charter. Bylaw contents. Name and location of the association. Most bylaws begin with a short section that includes the name of the entity, including DBA, doing business as, if applicable, and the location of the principal place of business. Purpose of the association. It is helpful to have a short mission statement at the beginning of the bylaws confirming the overall vision of the association. This can be useful for focusing discussions about growth or expansion strategies. Structure of the board. This section outlines the organization of the board of directors, including number of officers and directors, how and when officers and directors are elected, how officers and directors are removed, how vacancies are filled, qualifications of officers and directors, conflict of interest rules, term length, compensation, if any, procedures for conducting meetings. The bylaws outline rules governing meetings of members, officers, and directors, including how often regular meetings are held, when special meetings may be called, how and when notices of meetings are issued, who may chair the meetings in the absence of the chairperson, quorums, policies and procedures for voting, votes needed to pass a resolution, actions that can be taken without a meeting, for example, by written consent, committee appointments. From time to time, a board member from any organization may wish to form a committee to make recommendations on certain topics. Thus, our BVA bylaws indicate how committees are formed and appointments made. Guidelines for selecting officers. Our association has executive officers who oversee the daily implementation of policies. BVA's bylaws specify titles of officers, selection process, roles and responsibilities, reporting requirements, organization of bylaws. Bylaws are organized by articles and sections and numbered so that readers can quickly refer to the relevant information. Articles are broad topics. Sections are specific topics. Laws and bylaws differentiated. Laws such as BVA's congressional charter are established by federal acts. Our charter was established by an act of the United States Congress, state legislatures, and local governments, and are enforceable by legal authority. Bylaws are a system of rules adopted by an entity to govern and regulate its members. While BVA has bylaws for its internal affairs, the association must also follow government laws regarding taxes, permits, and licenses. Bylaws and charters differentiated. Charters are documents filed in the congressional record allowing an association such as BVA to be legally recognized as a corporation. BVA's bylaws are internal documents used to guide the organization's operations. Deliberating, celebrating in. Bold new city of the South. 3 photos accompany this section introduction. Caption for first photo. Convention volunteer Eden Harrison offers advice to Illinois Regional Group President Anthony Woodson at convention registration. Caption for second photo. During registration, way around COO. Jessica Hipp instructs Warner Murray, New York Regional Group, on how to download the mobile app that will help him navigate the Hyatt Regency and locate convention sessions and events. Caption for third photo. Tracy Farrow and Stephen Butler show off their identical, custom-made Hawaiian-style shirts that only they can adequately explain. The section begins. Emotions ran full throttle as the curtain descended July 10th on an activity-filled and, for at least some attendees, a life-changing BVA 79th National Convention at the Hyatt Regency Jacksonville Riverfront. The gathering, held in conjunction with the annual convention of the American Council of the Blind, ACB, concluded after 4 days of traditional social gatherings, business meetings, and informal introductions to new friends. Jacksonville, Florida, sometimes referred to as the bold new city of the South, proved the appropriateness of that label by willingly and without hesitation welcoming a combined contingent of more than 900 that included BVA members, ACB members, their families, exhibitors, speakers, and special guests. The specific venue, the Hyatt Regency Jacksonville Riverfront, was a uniquely ideal property to accommodate the 2 organizations at the same time. Hotel staff members went beyond expectations to implement the training they had experienced during BVA's blind sensitivity training several days before blind and low-vision veterans and their families began arriving in Jacksonville. The management was professional, accommodating, and treated BVA members, guests, and staff like family, said Meredith Buono de Grossa. The staff training sessions we had were very effective, and we couldn't have asked for a more impressive group of people willing to work with us and go the extra mile with our blind and low-vision population. For the BVA attendee arrivals, the convention began at the registration table with an orientation by Way-Around Chief Operating Officer Jessica Hipp, who provided accessible directions and descriptions of the hotel via way tags on each name badge. Many of the nearly 180 registered attendees with BVA proceeded from there to a state-of-the-art exhibit hall, featuring a record-setting 81 booths. Thank you, generous partners and exhibitors. BVA is indebted to corporate sponsors and exhibitors who not only attended the convention, but helped bring it to fruition in the first place, and then took an active role in its proceedings. Special thanks go to the following partners: Waymo, Guaranteed Rate, Oracle Health, Orcam, Vispero, Vanda Pharmaceuticals, DOT, Bosma, Way Around, and American Academy of Ophthalmology. Although BVA veered from tradition in producing an electronic version of the program without the usual corporate and regional group ads, the past financial support provided by the ads was supplanted by partner support via a number of other means. Teaming with ACB. A photo accompanies this subsection. Caption: BVA National Sergeant-at-Arms Brian O'Connell goes through final warm-up on trumpet for solo rendition of National Anthem at Convention Joint Opening Ceremony. The subsection begins. BVA's historical documents reveal that the 79th National Convention's collaborative effort with ACB was unprecedented. Despite a close relationship with the American Foundation for the Blind and its help in putting conventions together in the late 1940s, BVA had never collaborated in sharing a convention hotel with another organization until this year. The event provided additional opportunities to meet new friends, visit the exhibit hall with its extended hours and booths, and navigate the property with 3 or 4 times the number of fellow white cane users and guide dog handlers. BVA National Sergeant-at-Arms Brian O'Connell and Paul Mimms got the convention off to a heart-stirring beginning. Brian performed a solo rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner after directing the Naval Station Mayport Color Guard in a presentation of the colors at the joint opening ceremony on July 7th. Paul offered a brief welcome to attendees from both organizations, including hundreds of ACB members who could not travel to the convention, but who were able to connect virtually to the opening session. New York Regional Group member Warner Murray was one who enjoyed some quality time in ACB meetings ACB off-site activities, and socializing with the council's members in hallways and reception areas. Warner summarized his feelings about the joint convention. I attended one of the ACB functions this year. They had music, dancing, karaoke, trivia questions, and food. I was delighted by all the excitement and laughter. The hosting group introduced me as a BVA member who wanted to recite a poem. They accepted the offer, and I was thrilled by the applause. I had a wonderful night with ACB. Patrick Sargent, Waymo Video. Highlight first ever gala. A photo accompanies this subsection. Caption: Joe Bogart and Kathy Farrow enjoy themselves on dance floor at Monday night BVA gala. The subsection begins. The first ever convention gala featured a board of directors receiving line and keynote speaker, Major General Patrick Sargent, U.S. Army, Ret. Fasce, Senior Vice President and General Manager, Oracle Health Government Services. Meredith recognized the current corporate partners. Many veterans and family members then took to the dance floor for more than 90 minutes. An emotional video, courtesy of Waymo, described a recent opportunity for 3 blinded veterans, Teresa Galgano, Sheldon McKinney, and Robert Sanchez, and their guide dogs to experience driverless vehicles in Phoenix, Arizona. See life-changing technology for veterans and guide dogs. Beeman and volunteers. Impress again in 2024. A photo accompanies the subsection. Caption: Margarine Beeman, front right, gathered her cadre of Civil Air Patrol Convention volunteer cadets at the arrival gate to welcome Enrique and Laura Sanchez to Jacksonville. The two traveled to Florida from the Bronx, New York. The subsection begins. Every convention is a banner convention for volunteer coordinator Margarine Beeman and her team of helpers. The Busy Beeman, as she is sometimes known, has now completed 34 consecutive years of volunteering and locating local volunteers to assist veterans and their families at the annual gatherings. This year's volunteers included the local Lions Club and the Jacksonville Composite Squadron, Florida Wing, Civil Air Patrol. To all who knew Margarine 34 years ago and those who know her now, she hasn't missed a step. She does similar work on a larger scale with ACB. This year, with both conventions in the same venue, her work multiplied several-fold in securing local volunteers and then coordinating their assistance to the attendees. Despite being busy with both organizations, she found time to be at nearly every BVA event with the blinded veterans she has come to enjoy over the years. Thank you for another awesome year, Margarine, and for locating volunteers who share some of your enthusiasm and energy. Rising early 4. Ambassador Breakfast. BVA members who have completed the Ambassador Certification Program during the past 3 years and who were present at the convention attended an early morning breakfast sponsored by ORCAM. National Director of Sales, Michelle Mendez, and Regional Sales Manager for the Northern Territory, Midwest. Eliza Olenek addressed the group of approximately 25 and presented each with the new ORCAM Read 3, containing the innovative artificial intelligence component. BVAA gains new traction. Barb Webb shares optimism. A rejuvenated BVA Auxiliary, BVAA, held a series of meetings on July 8-9 to draft a new set of bylaws and elect leaders. The final BVAA get-together of the convention featured raffle ticket drawings and follow-up remarks from last year's convention from Barb Webb, Alumni Caregiver Fellow of the Elizabeth Dole Foundation. Barb drove to Jacksonville from Columbia, Missouri, to offer additional perspectives and reflections on the topic, A Caregiver's Heart. Overwhelmed and overjoyed, a topic that she has found resonates with caregiver spouses, children, and parents. As she distributed numerous treats to attendees, she emphasized again that the nation's caregivers, or hidden heroes, need never feel alone with the wealth of resources available to them. Barb was among 30 persons nationwide in 2020 to be selected by the Dole Foundation as a Caregiver Fellow. The fellows are selected on the basis of their experience and insight into successful caregiving. Barb is the mother of BVA member and post-911 veteran Mark Wilson, Heartland Regional Group, a former National Guard combat engineer deployed twice as an expert in explosives tasked with locating and disarming improvised explosive devices. Meetings. Invite member. Input. Bylaws and resolutions approved. Convention business and other formal interaction in meetings took on a more member-centered approach this year, with panels using the bulk of the time to respond to questions and comments from attendees. Key association business items were covered in both the traditional opening business session and in a panel discussion featuring the National Board of Directors, National Executive Director, and National Director of Development. The agenda also included the Bylaws and Resolutions Committee meeting and a Team BVA outreach panel, consisting of the most recent leaders in the areas of dog handling, women veterans, and adaptive sports and recreation. A panel of 4 focusing on contemporary issues of accessibility consisted of VA Representative Chet Frith, Director, Section 508 Compliance, Levi Sowers, Investigator, VA Center for the Prevention and Treatment of Visual Loss, Matt Ader, Vice President of Business Development, Vispero, and BVA's Don Overton. The 4 offered introductory remarks and fielded a host of questions on a variety of issues associated with accessibility. After hours of deliberation in committee and later on the convention floor, each of the 12 proposed bylaw amendments and 15 resolutions were approved at the closing business session by BVA members, who were able to cast their votes in person, and by elected delegates voting on behalf of all other members of their regional groups. Bradford Wow's Carol Audience. Awards Honor, Dedicated Service. 4 photos accompany this subsection. Caption for first photo. Following his inspirational Father Carol luncheon address, Matthew Bradford accepts Trailblazer Award from Paul Mimms and luncheon sponsors Arum Choi, far left, and Chris Unsiok Choi, far right, of Inc. Caption for second photo. Eduardo Miranda received the Irving Diener Award for Outstanding Service to the Charles Register, Orange County, California, Regional Group. Caption for third photo. Monica Gilmore accepts Gold Gavel on behalf of the Carolina Regional Group. The group gained the largest number of new members during the past fiscal year. Caption for fourth photo. Georgia Regional Group President Dennis Darnes accepts Silver Gavel, symbolizing the largest percentage increase in membership for the year. The subsection begins. To this year's Father Carol luncheon, the words "and awards ceremony" were added to the event title. The event was sponsored by DOT Incorporated. Convention attendees were reminded at the luncheon of the legacy of BVA's first national chaplain, 1946 to 1971, and blind rehabilitation pioneer Thomas J. Carroll, while receiving inspirational advice from BVA member and guest speaker Matthew R. Bradford, USMC, retired. Matthew invited BVA members to love being blind and to treasure all the less tangible joys that can come with it, and to share those passions with others as he now pursues as a motivational speaker. Reader's Digest Grant Program Manager Diana Kelly Nagazada also described a recent grant awarded to BVA's Ambassador Program. Annual award winners announced at the luncheon were Trailblazer Award, Matthew Bradford; Melvin J. Moss Award for Professional Achievement, Stephen Butler; Irving Diener Award, Eduardo Miranda; David L. Schneer Award, Yoneka Trent; Distant Darling Award, Brenda McDaniel; Superstar Award, 1, Diana Kelly Nagizadeh, Grant Program Manager, Reader's Digest; Superstar Award, 2, Irina Howard; Recruiter of the Year Award, Yoneka Trent; Gold Gavel Incentive Award, Numerical Membership Increase, Carolina Regional Group; Silver Gavel Incentive Award, Percentage Membership Increase, Georgia Regional Group; Eschenbach Angel Sponsorships presented by Tim Gels and Jenna Jonka; Clinton Anselm, New York Regional Group; and Manuel Guisa, Southern California Regional Group. Murray Poem Spotlights. Convention Events and Emotions. A Great Success. BVA 79th National Convention by Warner Murray. My Blinded Comrades, A World of Fun. Our 79th convention in the Florida sun. Hot, humid, rainy sometimes. We didn't care. National headquarters made it a lovely affair. You must read about it in the Bulletin or online. The largest convention, presented by the blind. BVA and ACB, 2 organizations in progress. Taking care of business. What a success. Conferences, business, meetings, and more. Voting on resolutions and bylaws, just like before. This all seems new, a partnership with others. It is our community, blinded sisters and brothers. Our struggles and challenges are the same, respect and accessibility we want to sustain. Our wonderful convention is over and done. We will continue next year in the Texas sun. I ask all members to make your reservations today to celebrate the 80th National Convention of BVA. BVA sponsors offer needed support. VA loans and guaranteed rate. There is a common myth that VA mortgages take an exceptionally long time to close. It is this myth that causes many veterans to ignore the benefits of their VA loans and use less favorable loans. VA loans require no down payment, have no mortgage insurance, and have lower interest rates than conventional loans. These loans are of tremendous benefit. Guaranteed rate is dedicated to making the securing of the VA loan as fast and seamless as possible. With easy-to-use technology, the average time to close a VA loan from start to finish is less than 21 days, and in many cases, the process takes as little as 15 days. We are dedicated to serving the veteran community and are here to help with any mortgage questions you may have. Reach out today to Jennifer Beeston, SVP Guaranteed Rate, #1 Loan Officer in America, NMLS 247743 707-478-0637. OrCam blazes technology trail toward veteran independence. OrCam's mission is to harness the power of artificial intelligence, AI, to create innovative wearable and handheld devices that enhance independence and confidence in individuals' everyday lives. As a trailblazing assistive technology company, OrCam has been dedicated since its early days to empowering individuals who are blind, visually impaired, or have reading difficulties. As technology continues to bridge the gap and pave the way to independence, individuals who have experienced sight loss will be witnesses to the rise of a new era. Navigating daily life with low vision or conditions like macular degeneration presents significant challenges, but these are not insurmountable. Thanks to innovative technologies like OrCam devices, the blind and visually impaired community can now embrace a life of enhanced autonomy and confidence. OrCam's journey began in 2015 with the introduction of the original OrCam MyEye device, marking a significant advancement in assistive wearable technology. In 2020, OrCam introduced the OrCam Read, a handheld device designed to assist individuals with visual impairments and reading difficulties. Its groundbreaking features earned it the prestigious CES 2021 Best of Innovation Award, highlighting OrCam's commitment to excellence. Building on the success, OrCam launched a new handheld device, the Read 3, in 2023. The Read 3 is a smart magnifier all-in-one solution that further expands the veteran's assistive technology lineup. By 2024, OrCam had unveiled the latest generation of devices. The MyEye 3 Pro, an advanced wearable multifunctional solution, offers instant reading and a smart magnifier feature powered by an AI assistant. The Read 5, a handheld device, features a portable and intuitive AI assistant that provides answers to questions while reading text on the go. OrCam is a proud sponsor of the Blinded Veterans Association and values its partnership with BVA members. All these devices are dispensed by VA, Blind Rehabilitation Service, and veterans with VA healthcare coverage who are low vision or legally blind may qualify to receive an OrCam device fully covered by VA. For inquiries, please reach out to us at useorcam.com or call 1-888-404-4886. Life-changing technology for veterans and guide dogs by Ambassadog Nora. A photo accompanies this section. Caption, left to right, Rob Sanchez, Teresa Galgano, and Sheldon McKinney with their respective guide dogs, Kent, Donald, and Nora in Desert Southwest. The section begins. What a week we had with Waymo during the week of June 3rd. My dad, Sheldon, and I, along with 2 other BVA Ambassadog teams, Donald, Teresa Galgano, and Kent, Robert Sanchez, BVA National Executive Director Donald Overton, and National Development Director Meredith Buono de Grossa, were hosted by Waymo and their video production team in Phoenix, Arizona. I had been waiting patiently for months to hail a ride in one of Waymo's autonomous vehicles. My wish not only came true, but exceeded all my expectations. Our team was also offered the opportunity to participate in a special video shoot focusing on the accessibility and life-changing technology that these vehicles will provide for our blinded veterans and their canine companions. As guide dogs, we work our paws off to provide opportunity, independence, and companionship to those we guide, many times in settings that are not accessible. A tear or two rolled down everyone's cheeks as we climbed into a vehicle that welcomed all of us, realizing that this accessible technology now opens a new level of independence and dignified, non-judgmental travel that we have yet to fully experience. The hope for our future that Waymo offers, where we can depend upon transportation that is safe, dependable, and accessible to all people with disabilities, inspires barks of approval throughout the guide dog universe. The video shown at the National Convention in July related more of this wonderful story. Suffice to say that special licks and kisses go out to Waymo's Amanda Zink and her team for providing this special, unforgettable opportunity to U.S. Ambassadogs and the blinded veterans we guide and orient. Headquarters adds new staff members. Board appoints interim District 1, 2 directors. A photo accompanies the section. Caption: pictured here with Washington, D.C. chapter member Carol Coney are new headquarters staff members, Claudia Baldwin, Middle, and Michonne Harrison. The three are all members of the BVA Mid-Atlantic Regional Group. The section begins. BVA National Executive Director Donald D. Overton Jr. has announced the addition of Claudia Baldwin and Michonne Harrison to the association's full-time headquarters staff. Claudia will take on the role of National Service Officer, while Michonne will work as the National Administrative Coordinator. The announcement was made on July 9th at the BVA 79th National Convention in Jacksonville, Florida, and the two began their service on July 29th. John O'Connell, a member of the New Jersey Regional Group, was appointed as the new director of District 1, effective immediately. The district director post was vacated by Claudia so that she could assume her staff position. Claudia Baldwin. An immigrant from El Salvador, Claudia Baldwin joined the United States Air Force following her graduation from high school in 1995. She served as a staff sergeant in the field of medical laboratory technology for more than 5 years, until she was medically retired at age 24 in October 2000 due to sight loss. Claudia first attended the Eastern Blind Rehabilitation Center in West Haven, Connecticut in August 2001. She joined BVA in 2006, and shortly thereafter was hired as a National Field Service Officer, which evolved into several other positions over the next 14 years. She earned an associate degree in medical laboratory technology and a Bachelor of Science in Management from the University of Phoenix. She is currently working on a Master of Public Administration. A BVA ambassador, Claudia resides in Rockville, Maryland, with her husband James Baldwin, also a BVA member. Michonne Harrison. Adaptive sports enthusiast and Army veteran Michonne Harrison has been a BVA member since 2008. She has most recently served as president of the Mid-Atlantic Regional Group and chairperson of the BVA Guide Dog Handlers Group. She is also a BVA ambassador. As a member of the ROTC program, Michonne graduated from James Madison University with a Bachelor of Arts in Spanish. She also earned a Master of Arts in Health Services, Allied Health, from the California College of Health Sciences. Her loss of sight began from the side effects of treatments for tuberculosis contracted in college, which can damage the optic nerve and cause atrophy of the retina. She later served for 13 years and 6 months on active duty as an orthotic specialist and a respiratory pulmonary functions and polysomnography technician. Known, she says, as a professional volunteer, Michonne adds to her BVA leadership resume active membership in the Disabled American Veterans, Lions Club, American Legion, and Veterans of Foreign Wars, a resident of Fredericksburg, Virginia. She is also a committee member of the Tri-State Adaptive Sports Association. John O'Connell. Lieutenant Colonel John O'Connell, U.S. Air Force, RET, was commissioned in 1985 through the U.S. Air Force ROTC as a graduate of Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Daytona Beach, Florida. He earned his pilot wings at Vance Air Force Base in Oklahoma. After graduation, he remained at Vance as a first assignment instructor and has flown planes, worked on flight training manuals, and taught others how to fly ever since. As an aircraft commander and instructor pilot on the C-141, he flew worldwide missions, including multinational military intervention missions into Bosnia-Herzegovina and Operation Uphold Democracy in Haiti. At the end of his active duty commitment, John joined the Air National Guard in Newburgh, New York. He was recalled to active duty in 2003. He is a veteran of Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Iraqi Freedom. John joined BVA in 2019 after attending the VA Lions New Jersey Visor Hoptail program. He has been the regional group secretary since 2022 and recently completed the Ambassador training program. John is passionate about helping the visually impaired and was recently appointed by the Governor of New Jersey to the Commission for the Blind State Rehabilitation Council. He has also served as vice chair to the BVA Awards Committee and is currently on the Adaptive Sports and Recreation Committee. Did you know? BVA's 79th National Convention attendees included two past national presidents who served together for 8 years on the National Board of Directors beginning 3 decades ago. The membership elected Bob Smith national president in 1999 and Joe Burns in 2001. On July 14, 2000, Bob spoke at a ribbon-cutting ceremony at the Lebanon, Pennsylvania VA Medical Center to open the first-ever Visual Impairment Services Outpatient Rehabilitation Visor program. The BVA national leadership and local leaders from the Pennsylvania Regional Group had been instrumental in getting that first Visor program underway. On November 11, 2002, Joe Burns shared the podium with then-President George W. Bush and then VA Secretary Anthony Principi on a rainy Veterans Day at Arlington National Cemetery. As the organization in charge from the Veterans Day National Committee that year, BVA hosted a reception for VA dignitaries and service organization representatives later in the day around BVA memberships, now free for life. BVA National Headquarters is pleased to announce that membership in the Blinded Veterans Association is now free for life for all blind and low vision veterans. As a BVA member, you will be represented before Congress and VA. BVA's mission is to ensure that the voices of the membership are heard and that members join their fellow veterans in receiving the support and services they earned and deserve. By joining, they become part of a strong, united community dedicated to advocating for the rights and needs of blind and low vision veterans. BVA needs member support to continue its vital work. Working together, members can make a difference and ensure that every blind and low vision veteran has the appropriate resources and representation needed. All BVA members are recruiters. As they meet blind and low vision veterans, they can help them join the membership ranks. Unite with us today and be part of a community of friends that stands up for you, said National Membership Coordinator Teresa Galgano. New member meetings. Welcome and orient. Veterans new to the BVA community are invited to join the next session in the New Member Series, a fantastic opportunity to learn more about the organization, discover how to contribute, and explore the support available to a blind and low vision veteran. Because of the amazing work of our ambassadors and regional group leadership, we grew by 400 new members during the last year, our largest growth spurt in many years, said Teresa Galgano. How national BVA members stay informed and connected. Members of the Blinded Veterans Association who carry the designation national and who are not under the umbrella of a regional group may wonder how to receive answers to questions and remain informed. The solution is simple. Reach out to the appropriate district director. BVA is now segmented into 4 districts, numbered 1 through 4. BVA's district directors are there to help. They can point blind and low vision veterans to the resources they need and answer any questions about the various roles a BVA member can fill to help out and make a difference. Former New Orleans weather guru shares BVA passion for Red Dress Run. A photo accompanies this subsection. Caption: donned in their red dresses, left to right, Sean Tina Gibson, Joe Burns, and Yannicka Trent brace for Red Dress Run on a sweltering summer morning in downtown New Orleans. The subsection begins. Carl Arredondo, on the air for more than 27 years as a meteorologist, the majority of the years as chief meteorologist, for WWL-TV, and a beloved figure in the city of New Orleans, ran the downtown streets of the city on August 10th with past National President Joe Burns and Shantina Gibson from the Louisiana-Mississippi Regional Group and Yannicka Trent from the Mid-Atlantic Regional Group. The latter two both traveled long distances from opposite locations to adorn themselves in red dresses and support Joe and Carl. Every year on the second Saturday in August, the New Orleans Hash House Harriers, NOH3, host the Red Dress Run, a charity run in the French Quarter of New Orleans. The Harriers self-describe as a local drinking club with a running problem. The event raises funds for grants to local charities, which recently included the Braille American Flag Project of the Louisiana-Mississippi Regional Group and the placement of the flags in local New Orleans libraries. Joe Burns is also a member of NOH3. The unique circumstances of this year's event were twofold. 1. Each of the participants set off in a red dress in heat near 100 degrees. It was 98 degrees at 10:30 a.m., an hour prior to the run. And 2. Carl Arredondo, an honorary member of the Louisiana-Mississippi Regional Group, participated this year with members of the group at their invitation. Unfortunately, even with his meteorology expertise, Carl could not provide a cooler day for us, but we were a determined group and completed the entire distance along with most of the other 4,000 or so, said Joe. What helped us finish was the enjoyment of the live music, gourmet food, and of course, a variety of cold adult beverages. Joe said that the regional group will once again apply for a grant to fund placement of the Braille American flags. He invites and encourages BVA members everywhere to note Saturday, August 9th, 2025 on their calendars for the next opportunity to visit New Orleans for this special event. In 2025, we hope to have many more BVA participants join the Louisiana-Mississippi Regional Group in an unforgettable running experience in red dresses to help raise awareness of blindness and low vision in the community, he said. BVA advocacy, linked to more accessible sign-in. VA has announced plans to begin transitioning veterans to a more modern, streamlined online login process to access benefit and healthcare services. In 2025, veterans will transition from 4 sign-in account options login.gov, ID.me, MyHealthEvet, and DS Logon to 2, login.gov and ID.me. Although the process should take the user only 10 minutes, VA will support the transition through consistent outreach and training to make it successful, especially for those using assistive devices such as screen readers. BVA has been advocating for the streamlining of these processes, and as we can see by the mention of screen reader users in the accompanying press release, VA listened and gave us another small victory, said Don Overton. Gathering for good at recent Klein golf event. BVA extends congratulations and heartfelt thanks to those who planned and supported the 2024 Mark R. Klein golf outing on Saturday, July 27th at the Loyal Oak Golf Course. Over the past 7 years, this event, held in memory of loyal BVA supporter Mark R. Klein, has raised more than $50,000 in support of BVA's mission to provide services and benefits to our blind and low vision veterans, their families, and caregivers. Special thanks to Kim Snodgrass and the Golf Committee for continuing this tradition of golfing for good. New inroads for the electronic newsletter. The format and content of BVA Happenings, the weekly e-newsletter of the Blinded Veterans Association distributed every Friday, continues to evolve and make periodic improvements based on reader feedback. The result is a marked increase in new subscribers and contributors. BVA first experimented with an electronic newsletter in 2011, but the weekly dissemination began only 2 years ago. The format includes sections entitled Around BVA, news about the organization and its partnering organizations and individuals, Ambassadog Scoop Series courtesy of Waymo, Ways to Give, VA Insider, and upcoming events. The newsletter relies heavily on brief summaries that link to detailed news stories and features. Additional links take the reader to a BVA electronic calendar, as well as membership, claims, and program information on the BVA website. To submit news or a feature story to BVA Happenings, send an email to info@bva.org. Sign up to receive the newsletter via an electronic form on the homepage of bva.org or request delivery at info@bva.org with a confirmation of the email address to which each issue should be sent. BVA's Place in Tragic Events, That Altered American History. A photo accompanies this subsection. Caption: Lloyd Greenwood, middle, welcomes Isaac Woodard as a new BVA member on August 16, 1946. Accompanying Woodard at left is renowned National Association for the Advancement of Colored People attorney, civil rights activist, and diplomat Franklin H. Williams. Photo credit: NAACP, Region 1, and University of California at Berkeley Bancroft Library. Bansi Pick, 147-156, Pick. The subsection begins. On August 16, 1946, Isaac Woodard was welcomed in person at BVA's then national headquarters in New York City as a new member of the Blinded Veterans Association by Executive Director Lloyd Greenwood. At the time, only veterans blinded in combat were eligible to join BVA. But Greenwood and the association's board of directors considered the nature and circumstances of Woodard's injuries fully consistent with the criteria for membership. Woodard was a Black Army sergeant on his way home to South Carolina, hours after an honorable discharge and still in uniform from his service in the Pacific Theater in World War II, when taken off a bus after a heated exchange with the driver. The local chief of police savagely beat him, leaving him unconscious and permanently blind. The shocking incident 6 months prior to the BVA meeting made national headlines, and, when the police chief was acquitted by an all-white jury, the blatant injustice would change the course of United States history. The crime led to the racial awakening of South Carolina, Judge J. Waddies Waring and President Harry Truman, the latter of whom desegregated federal offices and the military 2 years later. It also ultimately set the stage for the Supreme Court's landmark 1954 decision in Brown v. Board of Education. For more information, check out Richard Gergel's book, Unexampled Courage, and a subsequent 2021 PBS documentary movie, The Blinding of Isaac Woodard, which is based on the book. The movie is currently streamed on the PBS website. Paschal Baute offers books to July BVA donors. A graphic accompanies this subsection. Caption for graphic. Paschal Baute's name and logo identifying his personal campaign to support BVA. The subsection begins. BVA member Dr. Paschal Baute of Lexington, Kentucky, has written more than 40 books on subjects relating to gratitude, resilience, and wellness. In celebration of his 95th birthday in July, Paschal executed a successful fundraising campaign, raising more than $2,400 for his peer-blind and low-vision veterans. Paschal is passionate about the power of stories to offer hope, courage, and help people transform their lives. He continues to offer free books, including the relevant blind veterans coping with loss and his recently released Your Story's Power, to anyone who donated to BVA during July. Others include Resilience of a Dreamcatcher, A Memoir for Veterans, Awesome Journeys, Living with Gratitude, Celtic Grace, Thin Places, Secrets of Intimacy, and What Kind of a Perfectionist Are You? Disaster Preparedness, Washington Nationals, Highlight DC Red Cross Training Event. A photo accompanies this subsection. Caption. At DC Red Cross Training Event, Maishan Harrison, middle, flanked at left by her brother, Howard Jenkins, employee at Nationals Park, and Washington Nationals manager Davey Martinez. The drop-in visit by Nationals coaches and players was a welcome surprise to the participants. The subsection begins. Blind and low-vision veterans from several areas of the eastern United States attended a disaster preparedness workshop on May 21st at the Washington, D.C. VA Medical Center. The event, presented by the American Red Cross, was jointly sponsored and arranged by the Visual Impairment Services Outpatient Rehabilitation VISOR team at the Medical Center and the BVA Mid-Atlantic Regional Group, MARG. Chad Main, Red Cross. Virginia. Regional Preparedness Program Lead, connected with BVA National Headquarters after the workshop to provide the following report. We had a wonderful experience today with blind and low-vision veterans from across the eastern part of the country. Both in-person and virtual we had, for 2 Red Cross presentations, 44 veterans and VISOR and Visual Impairment Services team staff from Washington, D.C., Wilmington, Delaware, Miami, Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, Elwood, Illinois, Richmond, Virginia, Memphis, Tennessee, Virginia Beach, Virginia, and Hampton, Virginia. The presentations, entitled Be Red Cross Ready and Hands-Only CPR, were given by Danielle England, Virginia Regional Disaster Program Manager for the Red Cross. The event was a continuation of a partnership that was started in 2022 when Mid-Atlantic Regional Group President Maishan Harrison contacted the Red Cross to do a similar presentation for a group of Virginia veterans that had just lived through a terrible ice storm and cold spell in which electricity was lost for many days. Michonne has worked tirelessly to get the same message out to other VIST Visor teams and BVA groups in District 1, and she is now taking on the entire country. A highlight of the event was the surprise visit of the coaching staff from the Washington Nationals Major League Baseball team. The coaches and members of the Robert Irvine Foundation were at the medical center for a planned visit to meet with veterans throughout the hospital. They heard about our event and decided to make a special stop to meet the group. They handed out hats and autographed baseballs to all in-person veterans and families' caregivers present. To top off the event, the Marg provided a free lunch to all the veterans in attendance at the DC meeting. DCBVA Members March at Memorial Day Observance. A photo accompanies this subsection. Caption: Lawrence Harrison, left, and Carol Coney, both District of Columbia residents and members of BVA's Mid-Atlantic Regional Group, appeared primed and ready to participate in the National Memorial Day Observance Parade of Colors at Arlington National Cemetery. The subsection begins. Carol Coney and Lawrence Harrison, both members of the BVA Mid-Atlantic Regional Group who reside in Washington, D.C., joined other association members and their families throughout the country who paused this past Memorial Day to remember the ultimate sacrifice of the hundreds of thousands of men and women who have given their lives to preserve the nation's freedoms. Accompanied by cited guides Catherine Coney Ali, daughter, and Stan Wright, pastor, Carol and Lawrence carried the U.S. flag and the BVA flag, respectively, in a special parade of colors composed of Veteran Service Organization flags and marchers. The procession was witnessed by some 5,000 onlookers in Arlington National Cemetery's Memorial Amphitheater and thousands more via livestream. The National Emblem March, played by the U.S. Coast Guard Band, signaled the start of the 156th Annual Remembrance Ceremony. Addressing the crowd were Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff General Charles Q. Brown, Jr., Secretary of Defense Lloyd J. Austin III, and President Joseph R. Biden, Jr. Additional music was offered by the U.S. Air Force Band's Singing Sergeants. Decade after decade, tour after tour, these warriors fought for our freedom and the freedom of others, because freedom has never been guaranteed, said President Biden, in referring to the fallen buried in plots surrounding the amphitheater. Every generation has to earn it, fight for it, defend it in battle between autocracy and democracy, between the greed of a few and the rights of many. Following the amphitheater ceremony, BVA National Headquarters presented the organizational wreath to members of the 3rd U.S. Infantry Regiment, also known as the Old Guard, at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. Zampieri Talents Amplified in Houston. For article. 2 photos accompany this subsection. Caption for first photo: BVA past National President and Director of Government Relations, Tom Zampieri. Caption for second photo: Tom Zampieri was known on Capitol Hill for his tenacity and passion. He also worked with consumer and research advocacy organizations and federal agencies to build collaborative partnerships that would result in legislation to expand rehabilitation benefits and healthcare access for blind and low-vision veterans and their caregivers. The subsection begins. Past BVA National President Dr. Thomas Zampieri is the subject of a July 11th feature story by Maya Jordan, Public Affairs Specialist for the VA Houston Healthcare System. The article outlines Tom's personal history as a U.S. Army medic, a physician's assistant at the Houston VA Medical Center, the diagnosis of a genetic degenerative eye disease, and his experiences as an inpatient trainee at the Southwestern Blind Rehabilitation Center in Tucson, Arizona. It also details his subsequent motivation to obtain a Ph.D. in political science and serve his fellow blinded veterans for a combined 17 years, as both the BVA Director of Government Relations and a member of the association's Board of Directors. Digital Front Door, BVA Advocacy Impacts Expansion of Veteran Access to Benefits. VA reports that more veterans than ever before are turning to VA for their health care and benefits. Amid a record-breaking year for enrollment due to the PACT Act, more veterans are accessing these services online. BVA has driven legislation that is guiding VA accessibility initiatives to make digital tools, such as the VA Health and Benefits mobile app and VA.gov, faster, easier, and more inclusive. The impact of these tools, now referred to as VA's Digital Front Door, are highlighted in a recently released video that also serves as a testament to BVA's effective advocacy and leadership on this issue. Mid-Atlantic member shines at creative arts competition. 2 photos accompany this section. Captioned beneath both photos, Lawrence Harrison paintings earned 3rd place finishes in DC competition. The subsection begins. Lawrence Harrison, a member of the Washington, D.C. chapter of the Mid-Atlantic Regional Group, took 3rd place in 2 categories of art at the August 26th local judging of the National Creative Arts Competition at his local VA Medical Center. Lawrence competed in the oil-based and acrylics categories as a legally blind contestant. Lawrence painted his cousin, Rosemary, oil-based, and his brother, Chester, acrylics. Both pictured here. His work now advances to a national judging process that continues in December and culminates with the annual National Veterans Creative Arts Festival, scheduled for May 2025 at the Indianapolis VA Medical Center. Artistic talent is something Lawrence was born with, but the obstacles presented by his loss of vision are still real. He compensates with additional time, effort, and the assistive technology that makes it possible for him to continue painting. With my vision loss, it takes me a good 2 weeks to do a painting like the ones I entered in the competition, he said. But with a CCTV, magnifiers, and computer technology, I can make it all work. The National Veterans Creative Arts Competition is an opportunity to recognize veterans for their creative accomplishments in the areas of art, music, creative writing, drama, and dance, and to demonstrate throughout the country the therapeutic benefits of the arts. Auxiliaries view by Debbie Frick. Howdy to all our auxiliary faithful. So, let me introduce myself. I'm Debbie Frick, the newly appointed BVA Auxiliary reporter, and I am from Texas. I have had the desire, or I should say need, to help others since I was a little girl. Not sure where I got it from, but as the youngest of a military family with many moves and adjustments, I had a second sense of what others needed. Or it was because I had older siblings and my parents who helped take care of me. How did I get here? My veteran dragged me, or shall I say that I assisted him in traveling to the BVA convention in DC in 2022. There, he encouraged me to attend the auxiliary meeting to help me learn more about how to take care of myself, but probably also to learn how to better take care and gain patience with him. After I attended the first auxiliary meeting and found very few attendees, I decided to be supportive and become a member. I informed the group that I did not want to commit to any long-term position, but would help out in little ways if and when needed. My veteran and I skipped the 2023 National Convention, but I assisted the auxiliary in making phone calls to individuals who had previously been members to see how they were faring and update them on the trials and tribulations of the auxiliary. I continued to support and encourage them in their knowledge and/or support of BVAA. This year, I attended the BVAA meetings at the convention and was pleasantly surprised to see several other individuals. The BVAA board and the meeting participants scrutinized the proposed bylaws, made changes, and approved a comprehensive set of bylaws to govern our auxiliary. The bylaws have been given a thumbs up by the BVA judge advocate. After they have been reviewed for grammar, they will go to BVA for approval. We filled the scholarship and membership committees. After our earnest business meetings, we were excited to listen to a relaxing and bright outlook shared by Barb Webb, a Dole Caregiver Fellow with the Elizabeth Dole Foundation. She addressed the topic, Caring for Military Families. Barb is the caregiver for her son, Mark, and knows firsthand the heartaches and triumphs of caregiving. She encouraged individuals to connect with a community of peers and to access the Dole Foundation, which includes the Hidden Heroes component. There are resources listed as well as access to educational online courses to help one through the challenges of caregiving. The Caregiver Journey Map and the Academy for Inclusive Care are accessible on their website as well. Knowledge, education, and hearing others' journeys can help anyone become proactive and more positive instead of fearful and frustrated. I thank you for your service and attention. May we all have a brighter future. Veteran Service Program Update by Duayne Driscoll. The BVA Veteran Service Program, VSP, has a long and proud history of providing VA claims representation on a pro bono basis to veterans who have become blinded, their families, and survivors. That includes death benefits claims. Just like benefits claims for living veterans, death benefits claims come in two varieties: compensation and pension. Remember, compensation always means service-connected, and pension always means non-service-connected. The survivor's pension may be paid to the unremarried surviving spouse of a wartime veteran at the basic monthly rate of $14,529 and an aid and attendance rate of $21,166. As with the veteran's pension, any other income reduces the monthly entitlement, and there are limits on net worth. Other surviving dependents may also be eligible to apply. There are several ways to become eligible for dependency and indemnity compensation, DIC. In the first instance, the service member's demise occurred during active duty. They never even received a chance to be called veteran. We do not receive many of these within VSP. More commonly, DIC benefits may be allowed when the veteran's cause of death can be linked to service. Ideally, the disease or illness causing death has already been deemed service-connected and is listed on the death certificate as the cause of death, or at least an underlying factor. Many times, a veteran has never filed a claim on a lethal condition. The DIC benefit may still be allowed if we can show that the condition resulted from an environmental exposure in service, either presumptively under the PACT Act or with a good medical nexus opinion. When we find no link between the cause of death and service, there may still be a successful DIC claim if a veteran has a total service-connected rating for 10 years or more. The basic DIC rate is $1,612.75 per month, adding $399.54 with the need for aid and attendance. The 8-year provision, known as the kicker, adds an additional $342.46 if the veteran had a total disability compensation rating of 100%. Including individual unemployability for the last 8 years of life, and if the claimant was married to the veteran for those 8 years. Additional benefits may also be paid for the claimant's dependent children. A grant of DIC benefits also comes with healthcare eligibility and education benefits. CHAMP VA provides healthcare benefits to eligible surviving dependents, and the Dependents Educational Assistance Program provides education benefits through Chapter 35. Generally, when a claimant before VA passes away, the claim or appeal also dies, and the file is closed. However, the surviving spouse or dependent may ask to be substituted as the claimant if requested in a timely manner on the proper form. Further, to represent the survivor of a blinded veteran in a death benefits claim, BVA must be designated as their representative so that we may have access to the claims file and act on the claimant's behalf when appropriate. Impressions from Behind the Scenes by Meredith Buono de Grossa. The Blinded Veterans Association's 79th National Convention in sunny Jacksonville is now behind us. Executing a convention in July and collaborating with ACB was a new concept for our association and presented a unique opportunity to meet new individuals from the blind community, introduce BVA to new vendors in a sold-out exhibit hall, and learn how others execute their convention functions. Joining together also afforded the opportunity for more than 900 individuals to discover the newest innovative technologies, products, and services that exist in the blind and low vision community. As a sighted individual, I am always amazed at the resilience and independence that exists among our members, the consistent advocacy toward accessing needed resources, and the continued enthusiasm to both learn from and educate the sighted world around them. As Paul mentioned in his President's page, camaraderie, laughs, dancing, and fellowship were takeaways for all of us, but there were many other highlights that stood out for me this year. BVA staff were afforded the opportunity to execute blind sensitivity training to more than 150 Hyatt Regency staff with a new interactive lesson plan and the incorporation of certificates to those who completed the class. The opportunity to educate is a large component of what we do, but to experience the execution and implementation of what the Hyatt staff learned was a proud moment for BVA. Backed by popular demand, the Bow Wow Lounge and Relief Area, enjoyed by more than 100 dogs, featured another successful collaboration between BVA, Waymo, and PetSmart, the latter of which donated toys, water stations, beds, and a respite area for our canine heroes. The reward for me was watching working dogs without their harnesses playing, relaxing, and acting like dogs. Kisses were an extra bonus. This year I had the honor of hosting the Gala and Father Carol luncheon and awards ceremony, and, while I am not enthusiastic about public speaking, I was enthusiastic about presenting deserving awards to several of our members, recognizing their significant contributions to BVA. The events included keynote speakers, Major General Patrick Sargent, USA, retired, and Corporal Matthew R. Bradford, USMC, retired, both of whom delivered inspiring messages to those in attendance. Our Ambassador Breakfast, sponsored by OrCam and supported by the Reader's Digest Partners for Sight Foundation, has always been another highlight for me. The commitment to education and peer mentorship that BVA ambassadors embody are not only unique to our organization, but illustrate the crucial importance they play in the VA residential blind rehabilitation centers and their surrounding community of 120,000 blinded veterans and 1.1 million veterans with low vision. Last but certainly not least, it is always important and rewarding to connect in person with our corporate partners, now part of the BVA family. They support BVA's initiatives year-round. Our partners, featured throughout the convention and during our gala, spoke of their continuing commitment to our blind and low-vision veterans. A special mention to our friends at Waymo, Amanda Ventura, and Dane Miller, who premiered a video centered around 3 of our members and their guide dogs, who were treated to a trip to Phoenix earlier this summer, to highlight the accessible, life-changing, and independent travel their autonomous vehicles provide to our community. What a wonderful way to announce the 2025 convention Mind, Body, and Soul. Moving into the heart of summer brings my focus back on executing new development and marketing initiatives, additional corporate partnerships, BVA Visionaries monthly givers, an updated website, and a new BVA store. March 2025 marks the 80th anniversary of the founding of our association, and, with a solid strategic plan in place, we will celebrate 80 more. Did you know? In August 1949, then FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover met with BVA Executive Director Lloyd Greenwood and Bulletin Editor Irvin Schloss at the FBI headquarters in Washington, D.C. Hoover extended an invitation to blinded veterans attending the 4th National Convention September 7th to 10th to visit and tour the facility. We are deeply conscious of the sacrifices you have made for your country and want you to know that we stand willing to assist you in every way possible, Hoover told them. BVA accepted the invitation, and some 150 veteran convention attendees descended on the FBI on Friday afternoon, September 9th, 1949. Of note, Winter Sports Clinic open to blind and low-vision veterans. Blind and low-vision veterans who are ready for an unforgettable winter adventure in the tops of the Rocky Mountains, with 80 fellow blind and low-vision veterans and disabled veterans, should begin now to prepare their application materials for the 39th Annual VA National Disabled Veterans Winter Sports Clinic, WSC. The event in Snowmass, Colorado, will take place March 30th to April 5th, 2025. Those interested are encouraged to register soon to ensure a spot. According to VA, application materials were to be uploaded in mid-August. Whether you are a seasoned skier or have never hit the slopes before, there is something for everyone, said Teresa Galgano, now an experienced participant. Try your hand as well at downhill skiing, cross-country skiing, or snowshoeing. Teresa also emphasized activities like fly fishing, scuba diving, curling, and yoga. The WSC is an opportunity, she said, to explore new sports interests and make lasting memories. All meals during the event are provided. Transportation and housing subsidies may also be available through visual impairment services, team coordinators, or the Challenged Athletes Foundation. If standing for extended periods is a concern, no worries. Participants can experience the thrill of skiing in a chair ski, or using a mono-ski or a bi-ski, where they will sit comfortably while an instructor guides them down the mountain. For more information, contact the VIST coordinator or outdoor recreation therapist at the local VA facility. Applying early is important since extra time is often needed to work with a VA doctor to complete a portion of the application. Newly created anti-fraud website and call center aim to protect veterans. VA and the Biden-Harris administration recently announced the launch of vsafe.gov, and a new government-wide one-stop shop, composed of a website and call center designed to protect veterans, service members, and their families from fraud and scams. The added resources will help inform veterans and their families of common fraud schemes, give them the tools to protect themselves, and provide an outlet for reporting and further assistance. Updates to home loan benefits to help veterans and families. VA announced earlier this summer that guaranteed home loan benefits for eligible veterans, active duty service members, and surviving spouses could include buyer-broker fees, effective August 10th. The unprecedented move will help to ensure that veterans remain competitive in the home buying market due to changes that may result from a class action settlement involving the National Association of Realtors, scheduled to take effect in late September. The VA Home Loan Program has been a critical benefit for veterans interested in becoming homeowners throughout its 80-year history. Look to VA HTK programs for tastier food, improved nutrition. Some 124 VA facilities across the United States offer signature healthy teaching kitchen programs that teach veterans and their support persons about food, nutrition, and how to prepare and store balanced, healthy dishes. The programs complement cooking instruction provided at residential VA blind rehabilitation centers. Initiated in 2004, program classes are open to VA-enrolled veterans and a +1 if desired. The +1 can be a partner, family member, caretaker, or anyone else involved in helping the veteran prepare food. HTK consists of a leadership team of 12 and online resources for all VA patients and staff. In 2019, VA Nutrition and Food Service Directive 1438 stated that all VA facilities will have an HTK program. To find out if your facility has an HTK program, contact your patient-aligned care team dietitian/nutritionist in Remembrance, Carolina Regional Group, Lee Davis, Florida Regional Group, Richard Brown, Thomas Eisen, Lillian Marinin, Lydia Walker, Louisiana, Mississippi Regional Group, Joseph Bellamy, David Landry, Charles Larimore, Winston Tuckerson, Michigan Regional Group, Stephanie Severson, Mid-Atlantic Regional Group, Nikki Bell, Albert Gibson, Leland Jarrett, Paulino Ortiz Rivera, Warner Schlaupitz, Midwest North Regional Group, Kenneth Heish, New York Regional Group, Eliside, Ohio Regional Group, Leone Peloso, Rocky Mountain Regional Group, Paul Moran, BVA National, Members at Large with no regional group affiliation, Peggy Beasley. Final thought. The faces and personalities of the Florida Regional Group, FRG, may be different now from what they were 50 years ago. Many things remain unchanged, however. For example, the FRG has long been and remains the regional group with the largest number of members, currently at 760 total. The FRG opened its virtual doors for the first time in 1974. In celebration and commemoration, the group hosted a final BVA 79th National Convention evening social in honor of the historic founding. It was a time to unwind, relax, dance, and enjoy an unlimited number of pull-apart cupcakes after a packed 3 days of convention meetings, exhibit hall visits, and educational sessions. Among those most enjoying the evening and appreciating its historical significance were, left to right, National Treasurer Joe Bogart, FRG President Carlos Pérez, and National Director of Development Meredith Buono de Grossa, with her cupcake.